Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is May 23rd, 2024. It's 9:16. I'll begin this regular meeting of the Charlotte County Board of Commissioners, meeting in Charlotte County, Colorado, Oak Creek at the Centennial Building. And we'll begin today's proceedings with Mr. Commissioner Williams leading us in invocation and Eric Simons in the latest Pledge of Allegiance.
Please help me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to serve the great citizens of Charlotte County. Thank you for an opportunity to lead us into a brighter future. We appreciate the return of more gentle weather and kinder time of the high country. We also remember our fallen this weekend as we approach Memorial Day as a reminder, 2.5 million men and women have given their lives for this country and its freedom and for peace since 1776. In His name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, gentlemen, for leading us in those. First up on our agenda is we do have a set of meeting minutes from May 9th.
So, sir, I haven't even.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I reviewed, I have no corrections.
We have a motion.
And with that, Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the minutes of the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, dated May 9th, 2024, as presented.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. All right, next up on our agenda is we have some accounts payable. I had two notes and obviously forgot my detailed note. But we had one for 120,000 from page construction to help us with building revisions. And then we had a fairly large one for some gravel at Mule Creek because we're out, road and bridges out doing their maintenance and repairing, and we have a fairly large check for them. And that's the only two I think on that.
Nothing further.
Yeah, I did review and I have no comments.
Sure, I'll make a motion then that we approve the accounts payable dated May 22nd, 2024, amount of $786,724.72 as presented.
I would second that.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. Seeing no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. All right, next up, we have board reports. Commissioner Stone, if you could lead us off.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been, a week of review of legislative ending, which was about 2 weeks ago. And I think we're still trying to figure out overall, even just this morning, having discussions, trying to figure out exactly what the fine details of a lot of these new regulations are and how it'll affect the county and other local governments so that we can help advise. We do have something on the agenda that, and I'll bring it up just in my board report that, in talking with commissioners around the state, the sensitive spaces bill, thankfully was, most of the ugly in that bill got taken out. And the sensitive spaces bill, what it did was that if you're a concealed carry permit holder in the state of Colorado, it had this whole list of places that you would no longer be able to go. And in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, it was basically setting up a patchwork of potholes for law-abiding citizens to step in. Things like parking lots, for example, were included as part of that. Parks, public gatherings. Well, what exactly is a public gathering? Does that mean farmer's market? Well, evidently, yes, it did mean that. All that got stripped out, and pretty much for us, the only things that remained, they changed the rules in regards to both public and private colleges and universities. Previously, the Colorado Supreme Court had ruled that they could not, under existing law, they could not prohibit concealed carry on college campuses, either private or public. They've now put that into law where now it is against the law for any school. And it already was for some schools, but they did make it the law for public and private universities. So it would affect Karis Bible College. is that concealed carry is now illegal, on those premises. But I think another one that is a real potential, problem because people won't know is that they included childcare centers under education. So if you're going to the childcare center to pick up your child, officially, if you walk in there with a concealed carry handgun, that you would be in violation of the law. Now, that being said, we've got a great sheriff and a great district attorney, and they have common sense. And so this law will be applied with common sense in Teller County, because as we all know, somebody intent on evil really doesn't care whether or not it's against the rules or against the law, to carry into a place. They just want to do evil. So want to make people aware that child care centers were added to that. But another one that was added to it was any building that houses an office for an elected official of local government. So that would include cities of Victor's, Cripple Creek, Little Park, and yes, Teller County. That being said, they also gave authority for local governments to then pass an ordinance to reverse that. So we had kind of some offline conversations about whether we'd like to pursue doing that, and we've given direction to our county attorney to as quickly as possible draft an ordinance. So we had on our agenda today to do that. I believe we're going to delay that a day so that we can get the full, get a draft ready to go and kind of start a clock. In order to pass an ordinance, it takes a couple of readings, it takes a couple of postings in the newspaper of record, and then also 30 days until it takes effect. I don't believe we will be able to have it in effect by July 1, which is when the new bill becomes law, but we'll only be a couple weeks beyond that. So that's some of the work there. Beyond that, actually, we had a nice gathering last night for our district attorney, Michael Allen. It's kind of on the political side, but really it's a community thing. People getting together and appreciating the good work done by our district attorney, and our sheriff was there. A lot of local elected officials were there as well. I think I'll actually leave it at that because we do have a long agenda today, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I echo what you said about Mike Allen, good guy. Just got a conviction on the death of a policeman about a week ago. And again, there is a political overtone to it, but he's a great district attorney. He is up for the election. He does have one in the primary and one in the general. And of course, we're very supportive of everything from Club Q shooting to rotting bodies, our families in Fremont County you heard about, to people who think they can kill police. And he's got 100% conviction. And different than here, he has 3 terms if he's selected. So this is his second term. So we wish him all the best, and we're in support of him. In fact, all 3 of us have endorsed him. One of the papers recently had a great article that we wrote about us being at war with the urban center of Colorado. And I just want to tell you that's probably true. And war, I've been to war 6 times, you know, with a 30-year combat vet. So I don't use that word lightly. So instead of war, I would just say we continue to have strong disagreement with 60% of Colorado's population, which lives in the Denver metro. And so we've been pretty open, all 3 commissioners in our support for rural Colorado. It's no secret, I think, just to revisit that we've been working on the feudal water rights issue. And feudal water rights, just as a reminder, if you haven't heard, first time you're hearing it, are springs that pop up at the high country and go right back into the ground. Feudal being, it would be feudal for senior water rights owners on the front range to call that water, because it doesn't make it that water. That's how our ranchers water their cattle. That's how we use it for ag. And it was administratively almost lost to the point where the governor was contacted by us, and DNR Dan Gibson, to their credit, the governor put a new water engineer in. So we're waiting right now for a response on the discretion to come back. I feel pretty good about it. So here's the insanity. With that in the background, came to our attention less than, I guess, Mr. Chair, 24 hours ago, that the city of Aurora tried to reach over 3 water basins into the Arkansas water basin. Let me just tell you a little bit about Colorado if you don't know. So there are 9 water basins in Colorado. They emanate in the high country. We're in the Arkansas water basin. Now, we were told a few months ago, Mr. Chair, that the reason they were going to take our feudal water rights away is because it's been over appropriated and you know, since 1948, and it's a lawsuit that went to the Supreme Court from Kansas, et cetera. And that's why we couldn't have our water. We debunked that, but we took it seriously. And so now to, in the face of that, have the city of Aurora want to reach over to the Arkansas Water Basin and buy thousands of acre feet of our waters and started. So on behalf of the board, I do sit on the Arkansas Water Basin Board. We are unanimous. We'll be addressing this later today with the resolution joining Colorado's Water Congress, every other water basin, the Arkansas Water Basin Board. There are probably about 50 different organizations that will do this. And here's why it matters, and Eric said it. They try to pass 705 bills in this state this year compared to 70 at the federal level. A lot of those bills were rushed with no stakeholdering, and a lot of them, frankly, it said were rushed in the last 2 weeks. They have no idea what they passed. As a former planner, and it's good to see Dan here, I think he understands, this business of having in paper water when you want to have growth, and I get that we're short on housing in the Denver metro area. That's no excuse to push bills through because you can, because you have a supermajority. And then after the bill's signed, they say, oh, by the way, we forgot about water. Let's go steal it from another basin. We're all Coloradans, but here's the significance of it. I wrote down a few things for Pat. So that water basin is the largest water basin in Colorado. It's 28,000 square feet. It starts at Leadville, goes to Canyon City of Pueblo. It is 67% of the agriculture and the beef that's produced in Colorado. So it makes no sense to steal water from another basin to have an unfettered, out of control city, have more housing, we won't be able to feed the people that might get those houses. And so that's the significance of it. I'm very proud of both the other commissioners. I'm proud of the commissioners in Fremont and Park County. Everybody will rally against this, and I feel pretty confident. I'll be talking to DNR director later this afternoon about what we're doing as well. And by the way, that what's left of all that water, by the time it's all done, gets to a little town called Holly, Kansas. And they're the ones that sued Colorado a few years ago in the Supreme Court. And that's the compact that we're being held. So it isn't the 7 states. It's not what you hear about with Fort Meade or Lake Meade and Lake Powell. This is Kansas, who has bona fide rights as well. So anyway, water wars are back. So maybe that particular paper will put that in there as far as another war. But again, we love each other as Coloradans, but we've got to have an honest conversation on so many levels, whether it's concealed carry, whether it's water rights or hunting rights or gun rights. And we're going to continue to fight at your county commission. That's what we're doing. On a lighter note, but sort of related, I sit on the Southern Focus Group with Ruth Zaleski and a few others. Our troll, it's kind of funny. People have seen the troll, but just like everything else in rural Colorado right now, we're being loved to death. And so as a reminder, that troll sits on property that belongs to Dumont. There are some agreements in place. It was supposed to be a 2-foot trail, walking trail up to the troll. That 2-foot trail is now turned into 12, nearly 13 feet. We've got folks trespassing through Chapman's place. We've got everything going on. So one of the things that we're doing in the focus group is an organization that I'm proud to be part of from Victor and Cripple Creek that will now try to construct a fence. Now we're gonna have to put up a fence to try to keep the tourists from loving everybody's property and committing trespass. And so that's just one example. Jason Meisel's been open about reminding us that on the weekends we go from 28,000 people to 50,000. That's a burden on our police force, on our they flip ATVs. So I guess my point there for the press and for the people here is if you see something, say something. If you see something that looks like theft, if you see something that looks like abuse, if someone's walking off of a trail that could get hurt, frankly, there's no ADA access over there. And of course, having our EMS here, Eric, thanks for being here today. They can tell you what their burden is. And we're still fighting. We have a new EMS director, a bunch of other things. We're still fighting, trying to get our own citizens the best and brightest of the medicines that we have. Please help with that. And finally, Mr. Chair, let's end on a more somber note. It is Memorial Day weekend. Thank you, Pat, for printing that article. I meant that for my soul and my heart. There's a large community here, 5,000 men and women, 1 out of 4 men, 1 out of 9 women, as a reminder, and lots of veteran support, as everybody in this room certainly. And so it's a hard weekend for them. It's a hard weekend for me. I buried a lot of soldiers. And as a reminder, since 1776, it's 2.5 million perished. And I like to remind people they died for freedom. That's what sounds really good on the press and the paper. They also die for peace. And there's a whole lot of peace going on right now. And so this weekend, I'm proud to tell you that on Saturday, and I'll go through the timeline very quickly, all over Teller County at 9 o'clock. There are 2 VFW posts, 2 Legion posts. We will be placing flags along with citizens that want to come out, small flags on every grave in all of our cemeteries, even the small ones, even the onesies and twosies on private land that we've got permission for, just to honor our war debt that goes back to the not just the Civil War in some cases, but the Indian Wars as well that came after this. So that'll be 9 o'clock. At 11 o'clock in Florissant. Florissant is an unincorporated town that belongs to Teller County. There's no city council there. That'll be our last community that we bring into the fold. Sends a big message. There are about 12 Purple Heart recipients that happen to live out there. We didn't put them last for any particular reason. They wanted to do it in conjunction with, they made some honor quilts. You see those quilts of valor. They'll present those to some of the folks and then we'll put up the sign. All that remains after that, once we get the CDOT approved signs back, which we've already paid for, those large signs, as Ross knows, we'll let the public know, and that's when we'll put those really, really large ones right next to the big ones that say POW MIA Highway. And again, this doesn't replace those, it will just be part of the Purple Heart Trail. So if you get a chance to do that, it's open to the public. It's 11 o'clock at the Grange on Saturday. On Sunday, you'll see the VFW. If you go to Walmart or Safeway, if you're looking for propane or barbecue stuff, you'll see those guys out and gals out giving little poppies away. And again, those come from the Flanders Fields from World War I, the Great War that killed 2 million men and women, that 2 million people. So you'll see folks doing that. And then the community-wide event that we hosted every year for years will be at 11 o'clock at Woodland Park Cemetery. It's the latest veteran to have died. And it's generally a fresh grave. It will be on the side. It will do about a 30-minute ceremony there. So elected officials, community members, anybody welcome to come. But anyway, just keep, just spend a minute this weekend, just remember while we have Memorial. That was structured.
Thank you, gentlemen. Lots of community meetings and things we've done. We were honored last week to be able to go to the sheriff's office where he's 15 officers. Some of them just fresh out of the post academy and some of them are still in process. And now they passed their post academy, they've spent 6 months in training with their field training officer, and that was a great process to be involved in. Got to go to Pikes Peak Workforce, had a job fair at Woodland Park last week and had some good participation from employers. We didn't have a great amount of job seekers, but lots of people reported that they had success and garnered some applications and potential employees. So thank you for the workforce for coming up to Woodland Park to do that. As you mentioned, we've had several political events this last week, which is all part of the season as it starts cranking up here. Also attended, I think it's been 3 chamber events with the Woodland Park Chamber, between ribbon cuttings and business after hours and etc. And then the other day we were actually honored with Kim Monty. Under her direction, her department got a Distinguished Service Award from the state for meeting metrics and excelling in their completion of time limits and efficiency and applications for through their CVMS computer system. The state came down. We were honored to see them get their awards from the State Department of Human Services the other day. So I probably got 6 other events I could talk about, but I think I'll leave it at that for now. Next up, we have elected officials report. Stephanie, would you like to start off?
I would love to start off. I'll be quick as I can. I do have a couple of things. I want to thank my Chief Deputy Ashley for sitting in for me. Last meeting, I heard it was a fabulous one, a quick one. As you know, we have an upcoming election. June 25th is election day. This election is a primary election. We only people who are registered as Republican, Democrat, or unaffiliated are eligible to vote in the election. Not affiliated with any of those parties, you have until June 3rd to affiliate or unaffiliate to receive a ballot. Last election in March was also a primary election. There was a lot of confusion with registering to vote. That the minor parties, no labels. People were affiliating without party, thinking it was the unaffiliated party. Excuse me, and they were upset because they did not get a ballot. Let's see, we've already mailed out or sent out approximately 115 military overseas ballots on June 3rd. We will be sending out 18,000 200 domestic ballots, so if you don't get your ballot within 3 to 5 days after that, then give us a call, we can track it for you and see where it might be, so you can get your ballot boxes will open also on June 3rd, the vote center opens June 17th, and it runs through election day. That information is on our County website. Let's see, unaffiliated voters, just a reminder, you will receive 2 ballots. You can review 2 ballots, you can vote and return 1. You return 2 voter ballots, you will only, or you actually will not, your ballot will not count at all. I'm looking forward to a great turnout. The last 2 elections, we've had over 90% turnout, so we have our judges ready. So make sure you get your ballot. And on a different note, Pat put in the paper yesterday at my request a press release concerning property fraud and what we're trying to do for the Recorder's Office to assist property owners in Teller County, alerting them that a fraud may have occurred, possibly on your property. What we're currently doing right now is manually creating and sending out on a daily basis letters to alert any property owners, which would be the seller, that property has transferred out of their name. If it's a fraudulent transfer, that gives them an early report to start a process for investigation on that. We have to record the documents, but there are currently 4 potential property fraud cases in Teller County as of the beginning of this year. So it's happening. And so we're trying to help our citizens in doing, catching that type of activity ahead of time. We're also in the process of contracting with our reporting service to offer a fraud alert that anyone can sign up. You can list as many properties as you like on the alert. The county is absorbing the cost of that for the citizens. All you have to do is go online, create an account, and sign up. It will alert you of any property activity for as many properties as you sign up. So that, other than, I just want to let everybody know our offices are going to close early tomorrow at 2 o'clock, both motor vehicle offices, courthouse. And as again, as I just want to echo again, I've been saying about Memorial Day. It's a long weekend, we get off work a little early, but we need to remember what the purpose of Memorial Day is. So with that, I will end my speed talking report.
Can I make it? Sure. It goes without saying, but we need to say this, because it's political season, the 3 of us get involved, as Stephanie and a lot of the candidates that come here to various political organizations and make statements. They don't come from Teller County to try to run for other office. They continue to throw fresh meat or red meat at a certain demographic of our voters about election security. I just want to say to you publicly that your commissioners have your back. We have full faith and confidence in this election. You are right, the judges are ready, both parties. Judges have been there as part of it. Both parties in Teller County, the Democrats and the Republicans are joined in their confidence of you. And if there are anomalies, you'll find them, but there's no fraud here. We had a guy come recently, just start going back 4 years ago. We just don't need to do that. We need to make sure we can get through the election and count the votes, let the people of this county know that those are fair. And so we've made major things thanks to Ross and cybersecurity, major investments in cybersecurity across Teller County, not just your database. So I just want people to know that we stand with you in a fair and honest election full of integrity, and let the chips fall where they are. And I think that's how we honor our taxpayers and voters. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair, a couple things. So the fraud, if I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, the fraud that's occurring is that there are bad actors that send to the county clerk and file paperwork that where they're pretending to be you to transfer property out of your name into somebody else's name. And basically it's signatures and a form and affidavits, and if, for the ability of the clerk's office to find those, and they are beginning to find them now that they're aware that it's happening. but you need to be aware of this in regards to your property. So this new system that they're setting up, I really want to encourage people to take advantage of. We have, I would think that the ones that are most likely to be targeted are those where the property is owned free and clear. Because when there's bank encumbrances, it makes things a lot more difficult, but it's those free and clear properties, raw land, or your home, if it's paid off, those are the things that they're targeting. And they can be very difficult to unwind if they're found much later. Anyway, just want to thank you for, realizing that there was an issue there, taking action, and then also setting up a plan for residents to be able to keep a closer eye. So I really appreciate that. Additionally, following up on Commissioner Williams' comments, I heard a comment recently, and again, it was here in Teller County by somebody not from Teller County, that said that, well, we know that fraud is happening because at the moment, for example, the Teller County releases information that the Denver Post, for example, is reporting. Well, how could they know it instantaneously? Well, because once they've counted all of the votes and they tabulated it, at least for unofficial results, they release that information and it's released digitally. That doesn't mean that it's providing access to anything other than these are the numbers, but just as somebody who's run for office before is when those are released, I know immediately what those numbers say. And when it comes to the media, they have access to those numbers and they immediately update them themselves. We've all sat there and watched on election night as the numbers change and as things come in. And well, the reason is because they're watching. That's the job of the press. That is the fourth estate. And so they watch those and they report those as quickly as they can. So for someone to suggest that because the media reports something almost instantaneously, or as they say instantaneous as some kind of evidence that they're pulling the information directly from voting machines, which truly aren't quote voting machines. There's just software that helps, and scanners that help us count ballots. But just want to point out that a lot of times they'll point out that, well, because of this, it's proof of. That's never seemed to play out. It really doesn't. We have really good processes in place. And the best part of the processes in place, frankly, are the citizens of Teller County who stand up to be election judges. Those people who do that. I would say they're volunteers, but they are actually paid a little bit to do that. But they really are volunteers because there are neighbors standing up to ensure that our elections are run properly. And it goes beyond election day. They get trained ahead of time. They get certified by our county clerk, and they help keep those polling sites open in the days leading up to, as soon as polls open, in the weeks leading up to the votes taking place. They help move ballots from one place to another, and they're checking each other as members of both parties and unaffiliated as they take place doing this. So I appreciate it very much and appreciate those people. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
There was a candidate that is a candidate that has accused or made the accusations that how did they know at exactly 7 p.m. the initial results. Well, what happens in my office is we're required by state statute to report between 7 and 8. And I always report at 7. And we stop the whole election process. Everybody takes a break at 6:45 so I can upload onto a thumb drive, a clean thumb drive, probably need to the public computer to get this report. And at 7 o'clock, it's ready for me to publish. So it's not like the Dominion equipment is hooked to anything. It's nothing. It doesn't have anything. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that for that gentleman who's listening.
Thank you, Stephanie. On the other elected officials report, Eric Simonson has our survey. Do you have an item that's not on the agenda?
Yeah. I would just like to say that it's a pleasure working with the clerk and recorder's office, the treasurer's office, and the assessor's office. And I don't know if everybody realizes how much they do. They've done a great deal to help me out constantly in the county surveyor position. So I just, Jessica Wildeman is retiring in about a week.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say how much I'll miss her and how much she'll be missed. And she's helped me greatly over the years. And always cheerful and pleasant, and everybody in there is as well. So I would like to mention the planning department and Road Bridge too, that I work with all the time. So anyway, that's all I have.
How are we doing, Eric?
You guys are. I was afraid I could.
Well, that lip started. Love you too.
All right, thank you.
Carol Kennison, our assessor, do you have a report?
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think I'm missing any other elected officials that I can see. All right, next up, we have our administrator report. Mr. Herzog.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep it brief, but just to remind everyone that our offices will be closed on Monday for observance of Memorial Day. That doesn't include our essential services. Also some closures on May 6th. We did close Florissant Park officially. That is to begin the construction of the ADA compliant playground and other improvements over there. But to remind people, if they're trying to go out this weekend, there is Eden Park, and that's over at 34 Hybrid Road, South and Divide. That's available, and we're hoping to reopen that Florissant Park in the fall as soon as we can. So there already broke ground over there, and we're moving strong. So in addition to that, we also have our Heller County Veteran Services Office right now is currently closed. We're asking that if you have urgent matters, please call the county's main office at 719-689-2988. That number, we have one director over there, and they're currently out of office. So in the meantime, until they get back in, she will be doing Zoom in the coming weeks. But we're just trying to get through the next couple of weeks while we work on staffing over there. We also have quite a few of our graders you'll see out in the county. We're trying. I know I came through a couple of roads last couple of days and sent in some of my suggestions to Public Works. So if you see something that's really bad, it helps us out to get ahead of it. But we are prioritizing. You can call their main number at 719-687-8812. We also on our website have the capability where you can go to transportation to the transit area and just put on the web just your contact information, a brief note of what you're seeing. Someone will call back as well. With that, we also have our full-time code enforcement officer out. It's been running for a few weeks now, and they're doing enforcements on illegal camping, illegal junk and rubbish, learning the lay of the land, and you'll be seeing them out more as we get a formal introduction to commissioners. So with that, those are my major things. Nothing else.
Sure, if I could, we didn't mention our board report, but can you talk about the vision and commitment we have for the 4-H community, the fairgrounds, kind of that discussion we had with the fair board. We did meet with the fair board this week, but you covered that. So what we want to do short term.
Oh, certainly, sir. So we did have a meeting with the fair board and a work session. It's just that facility is looking at assessing and prioritizing improvements out there. We are in the process right now of putting in some grandstands. There's about 30 years work that was done in the past that we're trying to improve. And the 4-H kids are all coming together. They're working strong. We're looking to bring some community projects over there as well as a groundbreaking right before the fair. So there's some vision over there. But you will see quite a few improvements and some public process of what those improvements and priorities are in the next 20 months. And I see that as a multi-year phase of projects going in as we apply for grants, get funding, and assess the current buildings. But a lot of change going over there for the direction of good.
Yeah, just to add to what Ross said, if I could, Mr. Chair. So just like we're fighting the good fight, again, not against urban Colorado, but reminding Colorado that there's a suburban part of it, but also a rich agricultural history. We have that here in South County. We have ranching community. Bob just walked in with Bob, got a pat off. I don't recognize you, Bob. See that beautiful ranch right there with the white homes on it as you come in and divide. glad you're here, so I know you're for another issue, but so the 4-H committee are our kids, you know, as Pat and I talk a lot about, there's so much division. There's so much reason to argue about everything, not just in Colorado, but Teller County too, frankly. That when you see the 4-H kids with their belt buckled and their projects, and it's just eye-watering. By the way, they come from Woodland, Forest, they come from all over. So we've seen almost a tripling in that number since we've been a commission, and we're not taking credit for that. We're just trying to reinforce their success. And so if you go over to the fairgrounds, you'll see that during a rainstorm, the steer barn leaks like a sieve. There's all kinds of things. There's a building that the challenge that Ross had that we all have with taxpayer money is to use Eric's way, to bandage the building good enough to get through this fair to come in with probably a new building that's pre-decisional right now. So those kids can see that we really do prioritize them. And if we do it right, it'll be a good community center. And so this is the 125-year anniversary, as we know, and what we're trying to work now will be some kind of either fireworks or a band, something that ties that event to this fair. And then as soon as that fair is done, and also as a reminder, our Newmont mine gave us $50,000. And so part of their investment will be realized along with the county's investment in terms of some ADA stuff, overhead coverage and new bleachers. So, and then with our new website, we really want to put out the word on the fair. After every fair, the three of us constantly get asked as we travel. This is the question they ask: Teller County has a fair. When does that happen? And so we're going to help them get into the 21st century in terms of advertising all the events and stuff. So we're excited about it. So thanks for your leadership on that. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and just to jump onto that, the county fair starts on July 27th and goes through that Monday of August 4th. It's 10 days, and we'll be getting a lot more PR and advertisements and posters out on that. But just to continue on what Mr. Herzog mentioned, that we're doing this year, the IMC mentioned, but it's going to be a couple 3-year process because some of those repairs are there end up being way more costly than we anticipated. So it will be a phase-in. So don't expect perfect and beautiful this year, but it is the beginning of the process. But we're going to do some improvements over there and make it a much more modern facility, much more safe and accessible facilities. With that, we covered all of those, and we now up for department heads. Do we have any department heads that don't have any items on the agenda that would like to speak? Dan? Am I missing anybody from our director's level? All right. Next up, we have time reserved for public that don't have an appointment or agenda item. Any members from the public that would like to address the podium? Yes, sir. Please just state your name and.
Hello, my name is Derek Clayton. I was here primarily because I wanted to address the updated health service district plan, strategic plan. You all
That is an agenda item. You'll have an opportunity to speak that if you'd like to do it during the agenda item.
Oh, okay, I'll have an opportunity later.
Yes.
Then I'll have that thing.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is KJ Lee, and I'm a Teller County resident. And the item I'd like to speak on is water, specifically water treatment as it applies to the planned expansions in Divide. I'm the VP of Strategic Development for a water technology company. We purify and treat water for a variety of purposes, but in this particular application for the wastewater process that's going into Divide. This conversationally heard some budget numbers about what that dollar amount might be. And so for multiple purposes, the first being to protect the taxpayer and Teller County resident dollars. We believe we can do this, divide the scope of wastewater and water treatment for about half of what the current proposed budget is. Secondly, this is a green solution that is completely solar powered. So there's no need for additional infrastructure or utility from Core, for example, to power that solution. And this technology is currently being approved by the state for successful implementation. So I wanted to plant that seed with you today. I've got a have copies here for the commissioners, if you'd like to see it, what this technology is and how it works. And would like to continue the conversation in the best appropriate manner. The last thing I'd like to mention is that there are grants available. I've already had these discussions with the state, and the state said with the municipality, Teller County, being on board with engaging in a grant program, these things are available, therefore even further reducing the capital expense that will be associated with a solution like this. And the last thing is in listening to the water discussion earlier, which was very well laid out, I knew it was severe, but didn't have any idea how severe. So with that in mind, this solution is a conversationally prototype. What that means from a water perspective is it protects the water that we have access to, even as these bills and legislation things that are happening on a larger water spectrum are occurring. This solution allows us to protect our water that's in Teller County. So I wanted to introduce these ideas and again, continue that conversation. So that's. Would you like a copy of this?
Gentlemen, I was gonna have Ross. That's right.
Yeah, and if you would, on the stuff that you brought, if you hand it over to the county administrator, either now or when you're done, and we'll be happy to review those. And he can kind of update you on what we are in the project.
So you said it's KJ Lee and you're a resident in the county,
Yes, sir.
and the company name was
Water.
Water. Yeah, I think it would be appropriate to set up a meeting with you, not during a public, but I mean, if you're proposing to sell something to the county, that would be, when we got to like an RFP or, but I'd love to learn about the technology. Learn about it as well. It's going through. I have pretty extensive in wastewater, so very excited.
Yeah.
Set up time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Lee.
All right, anybody else from the public that has, yes, sir?
Good morning, County Commissioners. I'm Scott Marshall. I know most of you. On the water, great. Glad you're on it. Had a great uncle on the board, Arkansas Valley, and I think my cousin still is. It's all a good thing. On the liquid oxygen, I've talked with Eric. He gave me a name, Mary Higgins she's a nurse with Teller County Public Health. I visited with her and blew my mind away on, I thought this was gonna be an easy thing to be a provider, but I've already researched the billing, so I'm aware of. I thought I could do it all nonprofit, but evidently I'm gonna need the bill. So we're learning that. And I'm going on with getting my certifications so I can get liquid oxygen and provide it to Teller County. I've been made aware of this is a problem in Summit County also, and probably all the high altitude counties in Colorado. So we need to fight to get that 1 year for the providers instead of 5 years through Medicare, because they can tell you they own you for 5 years. And that's unacceptable if you need to change to a company that can provide you with liquid oxygen. I guess during this snowstorm, you really found out how necessary liquid can be. Because I had to shovel 2 feet out to the Connex, but I was safe. I had a big tank there, Decky and I got it up the steps and into the house. I sucked there until we got power. And it's way better I felt better on the liquid oxygen than the concentrators. You don't get full concentration out of power electricity, only through liquid oxygen. So I'm moving forward with the liquid and it's looking good. The other thing is the mine. I'm sure you know it's for sale and you've done impact studies on what a loss it would be. But have you done impact studies on the problems they've caused? Like, I've never seen a used tire go out of that place from the trucks they bury in them. I know for a fact, I've been told. They had a big parts building up there that they constructed, was gigantic. Instead of recycling it, they dug a hole and they buried it. And they put a leach pad there. Some of the leach pads are gonna have problems. I don't know, there's a pond underneath all three of those leach pads. And it's double lined. And clay on the bottom. Well, I don't know who decided to sign off on above that, you only need one liner. Because that liner's getting shredded and ripped the way they're dumping on that leach pad. It's gonna be a problem in the future. It's something that needs to be studied before they just sell it and pass it on to the next guy. And there's no liner under the spoils pile. And they're putting heavy nitrates are running off of that into our ponds. And then they're pumping the ponds out and putting it on the leach pad. Well, then they're supposed to be leaching. They're not supposed to be shooting big old sprinklers over the leach pad the mist is going, and you can feel it on your face when you're walking up to Rita. You know, that's not cool. So go back to leaching, cut the sprinklers out. I don't know how they're getting by with this from the EPA. I just don't understand. And I have to say something about it because it's it should concern anyone that visits Teller County. That's all I have to say.
Scott, thanks for coming. Scott, stay there for a minute if you could on the oxygen, just so you know, we have a new medical director. About 3 weeks ago. The thing we talked about, the very first thing was the liquid oxygen challenge. And all three commissioners are fully on board with that, along with the task that we gave the EMS council, which hasn't briefed us in some time to the medical director change. So when they come to brief us this quarter, that'll be the first thing we hear. And I would encourage you to get with Ross at his convenience in yours just to get his name. He took it on as a primary challenge. He can let him know, hey, here's what I'm doing. But nobody is doubting the issue. You're right. Every time we have a power loss more than 12 hours, our primary concern right now is oxygen. In fact, a lot of the EMS, Eric, you can probably speak that after if you want, but it's sensitive. They know about it. Is it anywhere close to being solved? Not yet, but I wanted you to know he's a very
Thank you so much. It means not only to me, but all the gamblers that are coming from Texas and Oklahoma that are on liquid, that thinking they can get refilled up here and they can't. So I'm gonna be working with the casinos too, you know, it needs to be good for the whole community. And they're a part of the community, so I'll get them all on board.
So I want you to know that's working and keep up the fight. With regards to, and I've got to say this respectfully, Scott, you're a friend, the accusations against the mine, they're in a precarious situation now. They're trying to sell it. The rumor is maybe by the year's end, but I would tell you two things. It's not the EPA, it's DRMS, so you can certainly, as a private citizen, write those things up, send it straight to Jim Kazir at DRMS and say, I'm a private citizen, I live here, here's what you can do that. Secondly, Dan's here, Mr. Swallow. At some time in the future, we're gonna have Amendment 14 be brought to us, probably by the new owners. That's another time to do public comment, says, wait a minute, point of order. So, and the last thing I'm saying, when they do sell, with the new owners come here, wherever they are, they'll start their community engagement, so you'll have a chance there too. You know, we've got to be neutral when it comes to the line.
I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
I hear you. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, any more public that don't have an item on the agenda today that would like to speak? All right, thank you, everybody. Next up, we have our community development department. Consider a resolution approving an amended final plat. Adjust the interior lot line between lot 39 and lot in Indian Creek subdivision 5. Let's see.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, Mr. Hercom, Mr. Herzog, and Secretary. I am Lucy Calumet, the Teller County Planner. The Planning and Zoning Division is here today to present the staff report for the Austin Atkinson amended final plat request. The properties are in the Indian Creek subdivision number 5, lot 39 and 40, located in the southwest quarter of section 18, township 12 south, range 70 west of the 6th principal meridian in Teller County, Colorado. The properties were posted on March 8, 2024, and published in the Pikes Peak Courier on April 24, 2024, noticing of the public hearing scheduled on May 9, 2024. The Mylar was not ready to be presented at that time. The hearing was postponed to a date certain, which is today, May 23rd, 2024. The request before the Board of County Commissioners is for an amended final plat to adjust the interior lot line between lot 39 and lot 40 of Indian Creek number 5. This request is to eliminate the need for an easement for lot 40's driveway encroachment onto lot 39. This request will also vacate the current 10-foot utility easement along the interior lot line common to lot 39 and lot 40. The plat will amend lot 39 and lot 40 with a 15-foot exterior lot line utility easement and a 10-foot interior lot line utility easement. The amended final plat will create lot 39R and lot 40R of Indian Creek number 5. Lot 39 of Indian Creek number 5 with an address of 607 Gold Dust Creek Road in Florissant, Colorado is owned by Randolph W. Austin 2008 Family Trust. Lot 40 of Indian Creek number 5 with an address of 411 Gold Dust Creek Road in Florissant, Colorado is currently owned by Levi and Crystal Atkinson. Indian Creek number 5 was platted and approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and the plat was recorded by Teller County Clerk and Recorder on May 7, 1971 at reception number 209798. Indian Creek number 5 is zone R1M. Lot 39 has legal access from Goat Dust Creek Road, a platted road in Indian Creek number 5. Its assigned address is 607 Goat Dust Creek Road. Lot 39 is a vacant lot with a driveway for lot 40 on the property, which encroaches onto lot 39. On the amended final plat, once the amended final plat has been approved, the established access will remain on lot 40. Driveway permit number A64103 has been issued to 607 Goat Dust Creek Road for a new driveway on the property. Lot 40 has legal access from Goat Dust Creek Road, a platted road in Indian Creek number 5, and has been assigned the address of 411 Goat Dust Creek Road. Lot 40 is a vacant lot with a driveway permit number of A18269, and it was issued to 411 Goat Dust Creek Road, which encroaches onto lot 39. This driveway permit has expired, and a new driveway permit will be required prior to development on the property. Lot 39 has an approved domestic well permit number 332528 issued on November 27, 2023, while lot 40 is a vacant lot and does not have a water supply. Lot 39 has an on-site wastewater treatment permit application submitted on March 5th, 2024, and lot 40 is vacant and does not have a septic system. The subject parcels are zone R1M and have no extraordinary environmental factors as it is. Adjacent and adjoining lots and the surrounding parcels are zone R1M, and the surrounding parcels present themselves as residential in nature and character. The referral agencies did not have any comments for the applicants to address. All submittal requirements and the standards for an amended final plat process were met. Staff finds that the applicant provided all the required and relevant materials to complete the process of the amended final plat. Additionally, Staff finds that the threshold found in section 3.2.8 through C has been met, given the material presented in the application submitted as it relates to the action of the proposed amended final plat. Staff has no major concerns or issues with the amended final plat. All the standards pursuant to the county's amended final plat process have been met. The proposed amended final plat is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Teller County Land Use Regulations. Staff did not receive any written comments either for or against the proposed amended final plat. It is the opinion of staff that the submittal requirements for the amended final plat have been met. Additionally, the application satisfied the referral agencies that were required to be notified. It is also the opinion of staff that the standards for the approval in the Teller County Land Use Regulations, submittal requirements, section 3.2.8 through C, minimum contents of application, section 3.4.8 through J, common procedures for review of application, and section 9.8.E.1.8 through H, for the amended final plat review, have been satisfied. Staff recommends this application for an amended final plat review be approved with the conditions the owner of lot 40 shall apply for a driveway permit prior to development on this property.
Thank you, Lucy. Mr. Simon, did you have any comments with the representative of the property owner before we read a resolution? Have some questions?
No, if anybody has any questions, I can glad to answer. It's the capacity of Rampart Surveys.
Anyone, any questions?
I just want to thank you, Lucy, for your professionalism and for your leadership. I know Justin's out this week, but thank you very much. A comment I would make is very straightforward. I don't use that term that much, but there are, 9 standards or 10 standards, and the 9th one is technically correct. And so, one, apologies to the applicant and to you. Decision date was 9 May, so that's some time ago. Signed the same property, but as a reminder to everyone in the room, this was approved in 1971. And prior to 72, we didn't have land use regulations. We also don't mandate that people get title insurance or do a survey on their property. So this is a pretty common problem, unfortunately, in Teller County, where Eric and I are neighbors, and I'm not around, I'm wherever, and he decides to dig a driveway. And lo and behold, I come back after 10 years and I realize that his driveway is on my property. And so this is a great example of blessed be the peacemakers, which is you. It's not just our sheriff. The peacemakers county truly are the surveyors. And so here's 2 neighbors in Teller County that are able to work it out. Whether the money exchange hands or not, Eric, that's between those two, but we're simply moving on line, not creating any new lots. And again, I appreciate all of them. You made it really easy to read and understand. So thank you. That's all I have.
And Mr. Chair, I do have one question. Sure. So we have a couple different suggested motions, one of which includes a conditional approval with the condition that if the owner of lot 40 apply for a driveway permit prior to development, is that condition needed, or would they need a driveway permit prior to development?
We require this.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess the other comment was, because we missed the decision date, the commissioners were aware of this, did get briefed, as you know, about this, but the technically correct standard is that everything's correctly signed before the chairman. In this case, Bob signs it. There were a couple of signatures, and that's out of fairness to the clerk, the recorder, the treasurer. If we were to do this, and this has happened in the past with other boards years ago, you rush this process and miss a signature, you open yourself up to litigation, and it's not right, or we forget to file something. So again, the applicants, thank you for the patience, but it will be done right.
I got a question for Mr. Hercom, our county attorney. Do we need to insert the condition as recommended, or that's not actually needed before we read the resolution?
So that's question for Lucy. They will be required to get that permit before any development happens, whether or not that's mentioned in the resolution. So that's part of the normal planning process, not like the development line, so this resolution, before you approve the amended final plat does not meet that condition. The materials also added in staff.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, this time, we'll see if we'll the resolution, and then after we read the resolution, we'll public comment.
Do we have an item? 16. Resolution number 05-23-2024, number 16. A resolution approving an amended final plat to adjust the interior lot line between lot 39 and lot 40 of Indian Creek number 5. Whereas the Randolph W. Austin 2008 Family Trust and Levi and Crystal Atkinson, through their authorized agent Eric Simonson of Rampart Survey LLC, have requested approval of an amended final plat of lot 39 and lot 40 of Indian Creek number 5 to adjust the interior lot lines between their respective lots. Whereas the amended final plat eliminates the need for an easement for lot 40's driveway encroachment onto lot 39. It vacates the current 1-foot utility easement along the interior lot line common to lots 39 and 40. And it plats the amended lots 39R and 40R with a 15-foot exterior lot line utility easement and a 10-foot interior lot line utility easement. Whereas after notice as provided by law, a public hearing was held by this board on May 23rd, 2024. Whereas after consideration of the amended final plat application, the supporting materials, the recommendation in the planning staff report dated April 3rd, 2024, the staff report, referral responses, and the public comments received, the board adopts the finding in the staff report and finds that the request complies with the requirements of section 9.8 of the Teller County Land Use Regulation for an amended final plat. Whereas the board hereby finds, determines, and declares that adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the amended final plat of lot 39 and lot 40 of Indian Creek number 5 is hereby approved, and the chairman of the board is authorized to execute the amended final plat. Be it further resolved that the board hereby accepts the stated amended final plat dedication of those certain public purpose easement as shown, described, and dedicated on the plat for the use of the public forever, with the understanding that such acceptance in no way obligates Teller County for the financing or construction of improvement on such public purpose easements, except as specifically agreed in writing by the board. That said, acceptance shall in no way obligates Teller County for the construction, repair, or maintenance of any such public purpose utility easements, place or other improvements, and that all expenses involving required improvements shall be the responsibility of the applicants and not Teller County. The foregoing resolution was adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, held the 23rd day of May, 2024 at Cripple Creek, Colorado.
Thank you, Lucy. At this time, I'll open this up for public comment on this land use application. We have a public comment. All right, hearing none. Any additional questions, or should we propose a motion?
No, sir.
Chair, I propose a motion that we approve resolution number 05-23-2024, parent 16. That being a resolution approving amended final plat to adjust the interior lot line between lot 39, lot 40, Indian Creek number 5.
Second.
Great, assuming no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes. Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you.
Appreciate the presentation. He's good.
Try to-
Close all the doors.
Eric, get on over and see if you come back.
All right, next up, we have a public hearing on the amended restated service plan for the Southern Teller County Health Services District.
Morning, commissioners and county staff, and thank you for joining us here this morning. My name is Emily Powell, and I'm signing with the law firm Ireland Stapleton, and I serve as general counsel to the Southern Teller County Health Services District. And we've got a little presentation here just so folks can follow along with what we're checking out. But am I just gonna click through?
Yeah, just do that.
Awesome. I do have. All right, we do have some individuals from the health district with us today. We have David Schoenberger. He is the chairman of the board. We also have, and I'm sorry, Pat, I didn't get your name on the slide, but we have Pat Martin, who's another board member from the health service district, and Eric Murray, who is the EMS director. So to the extent the commissioners have any questions about the health service district's operations, past or future plans, they're also available to answer any questions you may have today. We are here today to talk about a proposed amended and restated service plan for the Southern Teller County Health Services District. Before we get to what we're asking the commissioners to consider today, I want to give you a little background of this district because it's been here for a long time. The district was originally organized in 1975 as a hospital district. It later in 2013 had its name changed into a new form of district that had been improved, which is a health services district, which has a slightly broader branch of authority. However, at the time it was organized in 1975, the district anticipated that it would provide three different sort of buckets of services. It anticipated that it would provide a 24/7 ambulance service, which it did, and it still does today. It also anticipated that it would run a health facility that would have both a skilled nursing facility within the community facility, as well as an emergency care clinic. The skilled nursing facility was constructed and it was run in this county for over 45 years. Unfortunately, due to the negative impacts of COVID on operations, budget, and nursing availability, the nursing home was closed in 2022. The emergency care clinic that was originally envisioned in 1975 was never. We're going to come back to that concept here in just a little bit. What has changed since 1975? A lot has changed in almost 50 years since the district was organized. One significant change is your community. Community has grown in its population, in its needs, and the EMS industry has grown up as well. So the EMS industry today in 2024 is not the same as it was in 1975. Another significant change to the EMS industry occurred in 2016 when the Colorado legislature passed Senate Bill 16069, which allows health service districts, among other types of special districts, to operate what's called a community paramedicine program. This allows these types of districts to offer sort of straightforward health services procedures outside of a hospital setting. Think of things like stitches removals, EKGs, blood work, wound care, for example, so that those services can be offered locally and at lower cost. Even prior to that, in fact, significantly prior to that, the entire legal code that governs special districts was amended and restated. So when this district was organized in 1975, they were organized under Article 18, Chapter 89. That disappeared in the 1980s, and now they operate under Title 32, Article 1 and Article 19. Along with all of these changes, when you go back and look at the district's original 1975 service plan, you'll see that it does not reflect the character of the district as it exists today. That is because in 1975, first of all, they were operating under different set of statutes, but also because service plans in those days were drafted more as a snapshot. a moment in time, what this district was going to look like as it opened its doors. But there was not much put into service plans in terms of what it would look like in 30, 40, 50 years and beyond. So the original service plan has fewer than 4 pages of text, most of which is dedicated to what it would cost to organize the service plan in 1975. You'll see now with the service plan that you have, we put a lot more thought into making sure this is a living document that will grow with the community. And that goes to the last bullet point here, which is just the legal standards and best practices. These are just drafted differently now. Are there any questions at this point? Good, just keep rolling then. All right, so material modifications of the service plan. Under the Colorado Special District Act, Title 32, Article 1, Part 207, once a special district has a service plan in place, it is obligated to comply with that service plan. And if it wants to make what is called a material modification to their services, they need to come to the Board of County Commissioners and ask permission, which is why we're here. A material modification is defined broadly as any change of a basic or essential nature, but health services districts have a little bit of a carve out. Section 207 says that a change in service is not material as to a health service district unless it affects a licensure or certification of compliance issued by CDPHE, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. In this case, as for the Southern Teller County Health Service District, we do anticipate that there might be such a change. Because one thing that the Health Service District is anticipating in terms of its future services to the community is going back to that emergency care clinic that was originally conceived and operating a community clinic as a paramedicine program. In order to do so, the district would need to obtain a licensure for community care services from CDPHE. And they're currently in the process of conducting a community needs assessment for that potential certificate or license. So with that in mind, we took the opportunity to amend and restate the entire service plan to both better reflect what the district does now, as well as to reflect what it may do in the future. This is a very, very high level summary of what the service plan contains. If any members of the public don't have a copy and would like to receive one, we'd be happy to provide it. But at a very high level, the service plan specifies that the health service district is being organized under Title 32, Articles 1, which is the General Special District Act, and Article 19, which is the Health Service District provisions, and that it will have all the powers that are generally granted to a health service district. If you look up the definition of a health service district, it's somewhat long-winded. It says that a health service district may provide public hospitals, convalescent centers, nursing care facilities, intermediate care facilities, emergency facilities, community clinics, other licensed or certified health facilities, health and personal care services, and ambulance services. Those are all powers that the district has today, but we've lifted it from the statute and incorporated it into our amended and restated service plan. They would also have all other powers and authorities that are conferred by Colorado law on health service districts and Colorado public agencies. The service plan also reflects that the board of directors is governed by a 7-member board of directors, which are elected by the citizens at large. We have 2 members of the board here present today. And it talks in some detail, which I will cover on the next 2 slides, about the specific services that the district is providing or anticipates providing in the future. And that is its robust ambulance service, as well as the future potential for community paramedicine program and clinic. The district is staffed by highly trained and qualified aid personnel, including EMS Director Eric Murray, who is here, as well as additional paramedics, EMTs, advanced EMTs, and their administrative staff. That staffing right now is sufficient to operate their ambulance service. If in the future a community paramedicine program is begun or a community clinic is open, the district anticipates it would increase its staffing or would coordinate with other local health services providers to ensure staffing of that program. So, oops, I think I had 1 page too many of my notes here.
I said we'd talk a little bit more in detail about the two sort of bodies of specified services that are provided in the service plan. One is the ambulance service, which is well developed already today. The ambulance service provides both emergent and non-emergent response to medical calls. The district has 4 ambulances in its fleet, 2 of which are staffed full-time as advanced life support ambulances. That means there's a paramedic always on the ambulance. The 2 additional ambulances either serve as reserves in case an ambulance needs to be repaired or have an oil change. Or they can also serve as surge vehicles. So at times when you have significant community events, weather events, et cetera, they can staff up a 3rd ambulance during those times of heightened call load. In the future, the district, as I said, is conducting a community needs assessment for the possibility of operating a community paramedicine clinic program. This program will be governed by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment Regulations, and will be licensed and certified through CDPHE. The anticipated benefits to the community are that it would improve local access to healthcare, would be right here with your local ambulance service. It would provide convenient and affordable out-of-hospital medical services, some of which I already mentioned, blood work, wound care, medical device management, EKGs. They can also provide a great deal of assistance and supportive connection, right? Who else in our community is providing these services? And how can we connect you with the care that you need outside of an emergency department? In doing so, the district can also help provide more robust ambulance services to those who are truly experiencing emergencies. Because when you have a place for individuals to seek non-emergency care, they can go there instead of calling an ambulance, and they can also get health conditions attended to sooner before there are emergencies at all. And so in this way, ambulance call load can actually be reduced and free up capacity for truly life-saving emergency care. And we talked already about the staffing. So, this is the process as set forth in statute for amending and restating a service plan. There is quite a process that has to go through to get us to the hearing here today. Everything that you see above the red line has been completed. The amended restated service plan has been filed. The fee has been paid. The public hearing date was set. Notices have been made. The district also by statute mailed out a notice of today's hearing to all property owners within its district, which covers about the southern half of Teller County. And now we're here today. At the end of today's hearing or in the coming days, the Board of County Commissioners will be asked to take one of 3 actions. We hope that you will take action A, which is to approve the service plan. But under the statute, the county commissioners also can disapprove the service plan or conditionally approve the service plan if you believe that there are changes that are necessary in order to comply with the statutes. And then to that point, these are the statutes. So the requirements for what must be included in a service plan are contained within CRS 3219-106. I can go in through these in as much or as little detail as you like. But the way we've structured this is on the left, you can see the requirements within the statute. And on the right, you can see where in the service plan, you can see the district's discussion of those requirements. Would the commissioners like me to go through each one?
I don't believe so.
You don't have, okay. I'm one of those lawyers that will talk until you stop me, so I'll stop myself. But you can see here where each of the requirements has been met. This is the first 4 of the statutory requirements, and here are the second 4. So with that, I suppose I will, with my presentation, and open it up for any questions that you may have.
Sure.
Just out of transparency, I do live as the district one commissioner in this district, and so I did receive my notice. I can tell you that they got to everybody, and not as a condition of approval or any adjustment, but I would ask respectfully that we get the oxygen issue with the community needs assessment. That's come before us multiple times now. I know Eric, you personally led that charge, but it's a very real thing. So not as a, for your attorney now, not as a condition of any approval, but we're gonna do this, and you know, we're also doing statute for safety systems group. And I know that the board and Eric did a magnificent job on it. And so we could take that on if we go forward with it, but, I don't have any questions other than that.
I just have a couple general questions, again, not necessarily as condition. You mentioned you were in the process of the needs assessment. How long does that take? Is that 6 months, a year? Is it?
Aaron, can you speak to that?
Yes, I'm hoping within the next 6 months.
Because I do have a follow-up to that.
Eric Murray, EMS Director. My goal is to have that done within the next 6 months and potentially earlier than that.
Okay, and as follow-up to that, depending on what the needs assessment says, of course, is your instructions or your footprint. If one were to go forward, is that something in a year, 2 years, 3 years that you might attempt to accomplish, or how long would that clinic take to set up and sort of?
And as of right now, we don't have plans to set up a clinic. We want that ability later if it's needed. They're not, the needs aren't being met by the other clinics in town. And we're not looking to compete with anybody, but we would like to reserve the right to do that if it is necessary.
Okay, thank you.
That's the follow-up.
Sure.
And also, I think commissioners are asking that because again, be transparent, I got that letter, so did my neighbors, and so, they're keeping it around a long time. When people are asked what they think, Teller County, and they say, we need oxygen, we need it, there's a level of expectation management that goes up. And so I would, similar to the chairman, just ask when it's done, maybe this is part of you brief that back to the community with whatever plans you have. Again, not as a condition of approval, but we've kind of stirred the chicken nest in southern Teller County, and there's a little inequity already that goes on with the hospitals up there. You guys do a great job, and the leavening agent is the EMS council with our oversight and medical directors. But just to brief back our community, what are they signing? There is a little statement by statute, ma'am, it talks about we're not raising your taxes at this time. And it was bold. And so again, in the environment that we're in, look at Eric just because he was the author for Senate Bill 108 on Senator Paisley. Hypersensitivities to property taxes at any kind of increase now. And as you know, on the last ballot, a failed measure to Tim Dean's decide. Again, that's not criticism, but anything that our taxpayers see as a potential, they're going to convolute that with what you're trying. So that's found this is a brief package, something together.
Understood. And at this point, we have no intention of raising the mill levy. It's just in there just because you don't know what 5 years from now is going to look like.
So, thanks, sir.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, and this isn't really a question, but as you go through the needs assessment and determine, fully what services that the area needs. If you determine that there's a need in opioid substance disorder area, is that there is funding available through the Opioid Policy Council, which I'm vice chair of. I think we've spoken about this briefly before, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because there already is, but there's going to be a lot of money, millions of dollars flowing in. There is a dedication by the board to ensuring that rural Teller County as well as rural El Paso County is served. So if you find that there's a need for MAT MOUD program in the area, is that there is going to be a lot of funding available, already is a lot of funding available. And also any existing services that you're doing that do provide services to that portion of our population, either in prevention or in actual service and dealing with treatment and transitioning of people suffering from opioid addiction syndrome is there's funding available in many different areas in many different buckets. So I want to make sure you don't overlook that as you're looking at how to not only fund what you're doing today, but also what you might be looking at doing tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our applicant at this point? All right, this is the time we have opened this agenda item up for public comment.
I guess I'll start.
Yes.
My name is Derek Clayton. I own property in Teller County. Dan, I'm in your area there for one. And I honestly just learned that I'm in a special health district. This is fairly new to me. So I just wanted to address a few things because I did read the entire amended service plan that was proposed. And it seemed a little boilerplate to me. there was COVID-19 just thrown in on page 7, a little paragraph, I don't know why. And I also identified that there's some discussion about some of the larger initiatives that Teller County is working on, which is mental health. So as a taxpayer, I don't like paying more taxes, and I consider paying for other people's problems theft, right? If a district or a government authority is saying, hey, you have to now pay for your neighbors. But apart from that, I understand the need for ambulance services, right? Oxygen, and we have an aging in place population here, right? We've got the elderly. I've worked for 25 years in healthcare, primarily in gerontology. And what I can tell you is the problems we face wasn't because of COVID-19. It was because of our response to COVID-19. And I don't like to see that as an excuse in these documents. So I would ask that, you know, if we do plan to move forward and approve this, I would personally like to see the COVID-19 clauses, things about all of the panic that really has destroyed our economy. You know, our federal government is spending $1 trillion every 100 days. To me, that indicates that we are living under a banana republic. So we are relying upon you all to control costs, keep everybody accountable. And I expect a little bit more out of this updated service plan, to be honest. I expect some more talk about home health care services, right? Are we doing more for home health care? We need more people being able to go into people's homes and to help them there. So in addition to clinics and the oxygen, I personally think that there should be a little bit more discussion about how we are going to better serve the residents in their home. Or at least through telemedicine or other aspects of healthcare that we've seen over the last few years and because of our response to coronavirus. But I don't like to see excuses, right? I don't accept excuses. Nobody accepts my excuses. So COVID-19 is not a forever excuse to just continually tax the population, create more apartments and more services. Listen, it's got a 98% survival rate. All right, great. I got a better chance of getting hit by a bus, okay? I take my life into my hands every time I drive through Denver, more than from some bus. But, you know, I understand we have a lot of problems here because of the opioid epidemic, because of poverty, and we're going to see more all across the country, right? That's what happens when we spend that amount of money on a federal level. So here locally, and I just ask that we don't just blanket follow the leader, you know, and use coronavirus as an excuse, or put mental health as part of the government that is going to claim jurisdiction over the people, right? We have red flag laws here in Colorado. I can see how down the road the mix between adding mental health issues to our strategic plan and having those red flag laws could be a problem. And I'd like it out. So that's my case. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Mr. Bowman? Yeah, you said we have a discourse with it. So I think that's, I agree with some of your comments. I really appreciate you being today because it is, that's why there's a public process. Let it went out to 1,000 people. We have, I think, one person here. So thank you for your courage. What I would tell you is 2 things. Some of your comments, I think, spot on more appropriately for its needs assessment. So when you get that, your Eric is heard down, you got part of the board here, they want to hear that stuff. I mean, there is an inequity. Actually, there's an equity between urban and rural. Like, you know, this hospital doesn't make any money up here. We got to listen to that before we do. But I've also seen Eric come and try to revive neighbors of mine that have passed away about your age, and it's not just the older. The other thing I would agree with you is that right now, nearly 6 million people in Colorado, 2 million above the age of 50, 1 million above 65. That demographic is growing. Young people can't afford to live here, as you know. And so those comments are appropriate. In terms of taxes, that's why I asked the specific question. This document could lead to more taxes. We can't look at the county commissioners and say taxes will go up next year. There's something we control, we can't control, although we have safety measures in place. we have his statement on the record now, said there were no intent to do that at this time, but I think if you take a lot of that and you put it in this as far as COVID, I think and I don't know, we could ask the attorney to address, he's probably looking at it now, the specific areas, maybe they're doing too much. But the very first one was in there because we had a nursing home here that we no longer have. And so they basically have a service plan that has a capability EMS if you have a heart attack or something, and then a facility that no longer exists. So that's what precipitated it. And that was when COVID. My father was in nursing home. I pulled him out, he came to live with us, he's back in home with dementia. But that was, I think that was the context. I don't know, Eric or man, if there are other areas where we could go there. You have specific things in there?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I primarily have worked in home healthcare services, so we would send nurses or therapists to a patient's home. During the coronavirus panic, what we saw was doctors' offices not seeing patients. They were scared. You know, you had people that were dealing with flesh-eating bacteria on a daily basis suddenly were scared of a virus with a 98% survival rate. So people were not getting care. And what I saw in home health is sometimes we were the only people that were seeing those patients. And it was scary. You know, they weren't seeing their cancer doctor, right? They weren't seeing, you know, they wouldn't go to the hospital when they did have emergency. So we kind of did this to ourselves, right? The healthcare industry did this to themselves. And there's a lot of fear around it, and we can kind of just avoid all that if we also promote some new kind of ideas in the service industry. You know, home health, it hasn't always been big, but I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot more of it. We're already seeing a lot more telehealth. And regardless, right, you know, the best way to see a patient sometimes is any way you can.
Yeah, and then Eric is a comment, all along, again, for transparency, my wife's been in nursing for 45 years, and so we all share your vision for medicine, which is what Eric and the team are trying to do. The telehealth is huge, unless you lose electricity. You know, sure, we found out multiple times we have a storm, the oxygen thing, so not at all pushing back on the concept of going to people's homes. I will tell you another casualty in Teller County was, I said on this book, did Daybreak. Daybreak was a local nonprofit that took dementia patients and COVID killed that as well. And you're right, I mean, whether it was a political misinterpretation issue. But here in the moving forward, you know, I would just say, I really appreciate you coming. A lot of those ideas, I think, they're offline, get that needs assessment. As far as your comment on mental health, we also saw mental health lines. And so what that is, Ted was here, he's out right now, but Ted, that's a large organization in Teller County. It's not one, it's more. So Aspen Mindset Community Partnership, Public Health, DHS, we all sit on it, and the commissioners also participate on it. It's more of a coalition of ability. You're saying I'm a gun owner too, that flag and all that. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that we have people up here that commit suicide. We have people, we have a lot of veterans that need help that don't want help. And so that's all that is. Eric responds a lot. And frankly, what you haven't mentioned, I know you're thinking about is the cost of health. And so I can tell you EMS Council as chaired by us also is an attempt to say, look, if we can come to your home, to your point, which I agree with, we come to your home and keep costs down and kind of do a little bit of, you know, without stepping into the role of physician. There's a lot of stuff going on in the medical community. My wife recently had some surgery. And I was educated. I always thought there was a difference between an ophthalmologist and an optometrist. In Colorado, there's one passed a law that makes them almost the same when it comes to LASIK surgery, which is pretty scary. You know, like somebody, I wouldn't trust my car with somebody that doesn't have certifications in mechanic. And so there's a lot of stuff of what you're bringing up is super complicated and appreciated. And I think, again, to your point, that needs assessment. And last comment is if there is extra stuff about COVID, I don't know, but I think that was the genesis. It was, we lost a nursing, two pillars to the service organization that we are getting taxed for. You're right, as a taxpayer, you want to look at that and go, hey, wait a minute, we don't have had we not done this, you would have been right to come here and say, hey, why am I getting taxed for a nursing? So I think that was the genesis of that. And again, not making excuses to push it back, just trying to give you this. Mr. Chair, I'll see what time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Clayton, thank you so much for coming in and expressing. I do have, you can stay up there and give a couple of comments about your comments. And actually, a former board member named Jim Vance, God rest his soul, that kept us surprised even actually before we became commissioners about the situation in the district with the nursing home and about the continued issues in regards to recruiting, keeping skilled nursing in order to be able to continue that facility, and came to us and talked about, well, you know, we may need to close it. We only think we can go another X number of weeks, X number of months before we're gonna have to shut it down. And once they got to that point, I had a conversation with them. I said, well, if you do close the nursing facility, you guys are gonna need to revise your service plan. That, you know, that was approved by the county because it did have a couple of core things and done 40, 50 years ago. Again, as the attorney mentioned, under prior statute, under prior guidance, that they need to come and do that. Now, I think the reference to COVID-19, actually, I don't think is in dispute with anything you said here today. I mean, yeah, they're referencing COVID-19, but whether or not they say that, you know, decisions or the improper decisions or perhaps the panicked decisions made by whether they're public health people or, you know, or people within the medical industry itself or within the political world, legislatures and all of that. I don't think they're referring to whose fault it was, other than referring to that period of time which did cause certain things to happen. As you know, one of the things that very much did happen is there's a significant number of people in our community that were medical providers who simply left. They retired. And that was a big part I know that Jim talked about was that, you know, a lot of people that they would have hired, could have hired, either they were elderly and fairly close to retirement age, just didn't want to risk it anymore, and you went into homes. And you know what, some people were concerned about going into homes. So personally, I don't necessarily read into it that they're blaming on COVID, but I do think they are citing that, hey, there were effects that came out of COVID. You cited what those were. And I think very cogently cited that, hey, we did that. You know, we did. I agree. My father died during COVID alone. They wouldn't let us into the hospital. It's not because he had COVID. It's because he got a different type of infection, went in the hospital and was never seen again by his living family members because we weren't allowed to go in. And in reaction to that, we made legislative changes that now families have rights in Colorado to be able to have access to their loved ones when they're, you know, in a hospital. So I think it did wake a lot of us up to make some changes in certain areas. But one of the things that, you know, there was a casualty, either in part or full. It was difficult before, you know, the restrictions, other things that came along with COVID and the outcomes of COVID in regards to medical staffing. If you're weak going in, it became a death blow. And that's really what I think happened here. And, you know, I take note of your comments about not paying for other people's problems. In rural areas, we do have specific needs that the district agreed that they wanted to get together to help fund. Ambulance services is one of those. That's also why I recommended on quote other people's problems, which might be MAT, MOUD, which is the medically assisted transition drugs for those who are addicts. That's kind of helping people with problems. But that being said, funding sources than just the mill levy property tax in order to support that kind of stuff. And it's going to last for a very long time. So appreciate your comments and thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. Any other public comment on the issue in front of us? Yes, sir.
Good morning, my name is David Schoenberger, and I am a board member for the Southern California Health Services District. I just wanted to mention how the taxes are collected and distributed on mill levy. And by the voters' request, our taxes are spent to support the EMS and to take care of the building at 700 North A Street. The care center needed to be self-sufficient. And when those funds ran out, that is why it did go down. So no more taxes are going to anything different than what the voters already set aside for. This year, we voluntarily reduced our mill levy from 5.7 to 5.1. And so in the future, we have, we can rely on that before we have any real need to ask for a raise in the levy. So,
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Thanks, sir.
Any other comments on this issue? Any other public comment on this issue? Right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Sure.
Mr. Chair, we don't have a resolution on this matter. I anticipated it'd be set up for a motion for approval. Disapproval. If you were to, I can, state a proposed motion for approval, if that's what you'd like to hear. So the motion would be to approve the amended and restated service plan for the Southern Teller County Health Services District in Teller County, Colorado, as presented to this board and that was previously approved by the district's board of directors on March 19, 2020.
I didn't write all that down, but
Say
so. We have a motion.
Second,
Yeah, second.
All right, any other discussion required? Ms. Stephanie Keys, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Burns? Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
and Ms. Powell, if you need anything else for the approval, just contact me. It will be reflected in the minutes from the meeting, and if there's anything else, I can work directly.
Now, I think, once the minutes are considered and approved next month, I'll touch base with you. I think just a copy of the approved minutes to keep with the district's records would be good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you all.
Information.
Thank you.
All right. We will now move on to the next agenda item. Administration to consider a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge jail enterprise DSS fund budgets.
Thank you, sir. Before you is resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge, jail enterprise, and DSS fund budgets. Resolution number 05-23-2024-17. Whereas in the past, the county has recognized significant savings from employment turnover that the Board of County Commissioners could consider for use in other areas. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners has directed staff to make monthly budget adjustment by transferring personnel related funds from individual departments to holding departments within each fund as personnel budget needs are reduced. And from holding departments to individual departments as personnel budget needs increase within county policy, and whereas funds budgeted in the above referenced holding departments, which have been added to each fund as personnel contingency departments ending in the numbers 2190, are not appropriated nor available for expenditure and are only accessible by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, transferring them to other departmental budget accounts. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds, determines, and declares that adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that the departmental budgets of personnel contingency department accounts be decreased as follows. Now summarized by fund. General fund, $377,684. Road and bridge fund, $62,502. Jail enterprise, $423,190. Social services fund, $95,179. And that departmental budgets and personnel contingency department accounts be increased as follows. Again, I'll summarize by fund. General fund, $377,684. Road and bridge fund, $62,502.
Jail Enterprise Fund, $423,190. Social Services Fund, $95,179. And that the amounts appropriated for expenditure be reduced and increased accordingly, adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, this 23rd day of May, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Herzog. Any questions from the board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. I will open this resolution up for public comment. Any public comment? All right, seeing none, public comments closed. Do we have a motion?
Chair, I move that we approve resolution number 05-23-2024, carrying 17. That being a resolution to amend the 2024 General Road and Bridge, Jail Enterprise, and DSS funds as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I would second, with the caveat that we attach the written minutes to show the details of those budget adjustments, because that's all in going up. Mr. Herkin, and that is a friendly, amendment to the motion.
That was the text of our county attorney.
That's right. You can pay attention. All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. All right. Well, now moving on to the next agenda item. Consider approval of a special events liquor permit for Top of the World Rodeo.
Actually, measure from the Department of Water. On Top of the World Radio submitted an application on April 2nd to the Department of Water, requesting a special event liquor permit for the dates of June 7th to June 9th for their event hosted at the Teller County Fairgrounds. All required documents and fees were included at the time of application. We request the board approve the special event liquor permit for Top of the World Rodeo. And Missy Trenary is here as representative if there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't appreciate you being our Missy. Our leadership and rodeo is part of who we are, and alcohol is usually part of rodeo, so. We do appreciate you asking. There's lots of events. I think we learned about a year ago, Bob, that every now and then there'll be an event where alcohol will be served. And what we're really trying to do on a serious note is prevent abuse with our children that are underage. So this protects everybody, including the businesses.
Yeah, I know. Also, Missy, thank you so much. Great event, and I'm not positive. I mean, I read it on the internet, but my understanding is that just immediately preceding the first time a cowboy ever crawled onto a bull, he said, "Hold my beer." I can't, absolutely say that's 100% true, but it's possible.
All right, I didn't have any questions unless you had a question. All right, John, what would be your choice?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the special events liquor permit for Top of the World Rodeo as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great time.
All right, the next item is from the Department of Human Services. Consider a proclamation proclaiming June 15th as World Elder Abuse Day and June 24th as World Elder Abuse Awareness Month.
Well, good morning. I'm going to have Phyllis Burton, our adult protection supervisor, read that proclamation, but I did want to start off by thanking the county commissioners for all the support of our adults aging. As we all are getting older and hearing all the different presentations about our age, it's really important that the county really invest, and they have, and I want to thank you so much. But we've had our adult programming formalized the last 2.5 years, I believe. And so we do recognize the Elder Abuse Awareness Day with all our partners. And I will let Phyllis take over the floor.
I'm Phyllis Burton, Adult Protective Services Supervisor. So whereas Teller County seniors are valued members of society, it is our collective responsibility to ensure they live safely and with dignity. Abuse of older people is tragedy inflicted on vulnerable seniors, an ever-increasing problem in today's society that crosses all socioeconomic boundaries. Whereas combating abuse of older people will help improve the quality of life for all seniors across this country and will allow seniors to continue to live as independently as possible and to contribute to the life and vibrancy of Teller County seniors. Whereas Teller County seniors deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important and active members of this community. Whereas we are all responsible for building safer communities for Teller County seniors. Last, whereas the well-being of Teller County seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the well-being of Teller County's communities. And we, the county commissioners of Teller County, do hereby proclaim that June 15th as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Teller County. And we, the county commissioners of Teller County, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Teller County and encourage all Teller County residents to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of Teller County seniors. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Phyllis. Any comments? Or-
Yeah, my name is Mr. Chair. Thank you, Phyllis. And actually, if you come back up, I do have a question, if you have an opportunity here today. You know, we do want to recognize, that unfortunately elder abuse does exist, and we've seen in the reports that we get serving as a board of services, about the increase in, elder abuse. And I think a lot of people in our community don't know what elder abuse looks like. It's not like child abuse. There aren't mandated reporters out there as kids come into school. Seniors are kind of islands, and they're also adults. So if you would take just a second and for our residents to know what should they be thinking. Well, we're talking about recognizing the accomplishments of seniors, but we also want to recognize what I think what elder abuse looks like. That's kind of the point of raising awareness for it. If you could take a moment next to what does elder abuse actually look like?
So elder abuse comes in several forms. There is, first of all, we look at whether or not the client is at risk. So as far as their medical abilities to take care of themselves, are they cognitively able to take care of themselves? Are they able to handle their bills, finances? Are they able to do their activities of daily living, which means showering, changing their clothes, going shopping, being able to pay, the bills and pick up groceries and go to doctor's appointments and getting the transportation that they need so they can go to their doctor's appointments. There's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse, there is exploitation, and exploitation in this county is alive and well, I have to admit. And we do get reports from bankers who are aware that maybe somebody is spending or taking out large sums of money and then gift cards, which are being used, and then they're being told that if they give them a gift card, they're gonna win $1 million. It's, there's also, there's just, yeah, there's so much in the mistreatment that also goes on in confinement and restraints. And the fact that especially over the winter, that they don't get out. So neighbors do not check on their, they don't check on each other and make sure that they're okay and have water, heat, electricity. And especially after this winter, I've gotten so many calls where clients haven't been able to afford the heat and the water, and it's very sad. But I also thank you guys for giving us the dollars that we can use to help these seniors.
If I could have that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to follow up with, just, as in maybe for the press as well as, this is the time of year where people are coming back. We have a lot of snowbirds, that go to lower latitudes to spend the winter and lower altitudes. been aware, come back to enjoy the amazing summers here in Teller County is take note of your neighbors. You know, they may not be in the same physical or mental condition or economic condition that they were when you left. And be aware that there's help out there, or at least get them checked on by professionals, and to be able to contact the county. We do have an Adult Protective Services Division, and it's not always just the actual physical abuse of it. You mentioned people being tricked and defrauded to get gift cards or to call. I mean, I know my wife's, she doesn't live in the county, but my wife's mother was contacted by somebody that said somebody didn't send them $1,200 in gift cards that I was going to be, I was in jail, excuse me, was what they said. I was in jail and they didn't get $1,200 and it needed to be in Google or in gift cards delivered online, but if it didn't happen immediately, that I would be in jail. And it sounds crazy, but it happens. And oddly enough, my mother-in-law actually, don't put this on the record, please. My mother-in-law actually, thank God, just called and said, "Oh my God, is it, Eric's in jail?" And no, it's not. But thankfully they do. So I do want to encourage everybody, please do, check on your neighbors. And you're not squealing or anything, and it's not like there's this, huge enforcement division that's come. They're just going to check on them. And once they check on them, then if they're doing great, then they're doing great. But if they need some assistance, if they're in a hoarding situation or something, there might be help. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Yeah, if I could just add, thank you for your leadership, Kim, for your leadership. I know your husband's here, Bob, thank you. One of the things we talked about with Kim the other day, I don't think you were there, Phyllis, was you guys carry this burden home at night. Whether it's child abuse or elder abuse, some of the things that we do encounter, unfortunately, it's tough. And I know that's the shoulder that you lean on. So appreciate you both. And I just echo what Eric said. I mean, I live down in this part of the county, and I'm pretty aware of the neighbors that I have that are aging rapidly. And what I mean by that is there's going to get a call to Eric at one point, and we do what we can. They're a very proud community. This whole county is very proud. They don't want help. So what most of us do, a lot of the locals, is we just go help. You don't ask me, just go help. And I think you saw during the storm, to your point, it was maybe 24 hours into it, but we pretty much were moving to that decision that we eventually made to go plow out almost 2,000 people in the population. I just use that term, but a lot of them were older. The other thing, Colorado statistics right now, they're probably light, is they estimate. So we've already talked about 65 and older, it's 1 million, over 50, 2 million, but over the 65 and older, 10% is the estimate that are undergoing some type of abuse. And Eric, I brought it up. I have 2 aging parents. I have one that can't take care of himself, and to watch your father turn into a small child with dementia is what it really is. And he still knows who I am. He's the most vulnerable, so we've got to get on him. And then my mother calls me at least once a week because of this thing called an iPhone or email. It says, "Hey, is this legit?" And it's shameful how many people are preying on the older people, and it's scary. And the final point, and Eric brought it up too, that's why we're so sensitive to taxes and cost of living here on everything. That's why you got that question. Service centers, fixed income means fixed income. And when I walk into my neighbors' homes, and I see medication stacked up that they're supposed to be taking, but they can't afford it. So they've decided to cut that pill in half without their care provider. Or you look around after you kill an elk, you get food over because they're packaging around you with chicken eggs. It's real. And so thank you for doing what you're doing. And Kim said it really well. We're all aging. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican, or we don't like these people. The trend in Teller County, with all the new folks who is that they don't reach out to them. Not a week goes by where we don't get calls to resolve conflict. And we tell the story a lot, but generally, if Bob was calling me because he couldn't get home his neighbor, my very first question here to Bob's would be, "What have you done to try to resolve it?" And most of the time in the old days, when I grew up here, people would say, "Well, I try to talk to him. The guy's an idiot, he won't listen." Whatever. Now what we get is, "Well, why would I talk to my neighbor? That's why I have a county commission." And so to Eric's point for the press, I would just appeal to our population up here, whether you've been here a week or you've been here for 50 years, things are changing. And look around your neighborhood and just go knock on a door, bring in firewood, or whatever, chicken, egg. When you do that, you'll find out a lot about your neighbors that you may not know. We also have a high population for whatever reason, and I've got to watch a lot of my neighbors become single family families. And once they pass, whether it's the veterans or whether it's just anybody, there's sort of an obligation in the rural parts of Colorado to take care of the livings. we do that as well. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
And did you have additional comment?
I just want to say, our unit has really expanded and I mean, we're just growing and the bigger picture is really good. I think for the state, for the most part, is they're really recognizing it and they passed a huge legislation bill. So hopefully that comes with more funding because I think this is just gonna continue to grow. And like, Commissioner Stone said, in the summer, we just boom because people are coming, they see their neighbors in good shape. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, that every level I can call from is kind of getting it slowly, because it's been a process. And I think our staff, we're one of the only smaller, medium-sized counties that has its own dedicated unit, and it's been worth it. So thank you again.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the proclamation?
Sir, I would move that we approve the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day proclamation as presented.
Second. So we no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you so much for presenting and bringing this issue to light. It's an important issue every day. All right, next up, we have consider ratification of on-site wastewater treatment system variance number 58. I'm sorry, system variance for 58 Irving Drive, Florissant.
I don't think I have too much to, what's already been discussed. Those recommendations for approval, for the separation distances from cistern to a soil treatment area for the components of the septic system to recommend approval of variance.
Can you
Thank you,
please
bud.
state your name?
I'm sorry, Austin May, Shelter County Environmental Health.
If I could, Mr. Chair, if I can make a little bit comment. So, the reason this is something new, we're trying, not that variances are new, but the public process, and just to be transparent, anytime, whether it's CDD or you, the medical community, doesn't matter, health districts, anytime there's a request for a variance, it's a deviation from a known standard. The standard that's either agreed upon, you are, people through us or something else. So in this case, all we have up here are septic systems with wells, in some cases holding tanks, and those are mini utilities on everybody's property. So if you're my neighbor and you have a well and a septic system, and I have a well and a septic system, there are agreements through land use regulations that say we have certain distances that we have clean water, we have proper disposal. In this case, he's done some really good work with some allowed deviations by CDPHE standards, but we want to be transparent. So if it's given to Ms. Hill and I move in and buy the property 2 years later, and I should probably know that the variance was given, I could do my own homework, or I could see if I have health issues, something might have changed. And so we've asked this process to be brought forward in a public process so that we can grant variances and allow any comments from the case of neighbors as well. Because if you do these things administratively, you're not going to know that this is a case.
And what Commissioner Williams is saying, none of these, neither of these two variances affect any adjacent properties. It is only contained in one property, so there will be no adjacent property.
Yeah, and with that, Mr. Chairman, I think just, we've been briefed on these, prior. And if we had any questions that we had about them, and I think the key part was what you just talked about, that it does not affect any adjacent property or, with that, I'd actually like to make a motion combining if possible.
Yeah, but, do you want to talk about the second one right now? And
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you could, if we could just go ahead and introduce both of them, I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
Verifying.
Yeah, and just for the record, so the board of county commissioners sit on the board of health. And this appropriately comes through the environmental health officer to the board of health. And so for the record, you're actually sitting as the board of health in that capacity for these two items.
So for the record, do we need to adjourn as and?
You're in place, and so as we've stated, you're acting in that capacity right now. And then after these two items, you go back to board county commissioners.
All right,
And I'll change your hats now.
we also have a ratification of an on-site wastewater treatment system for 31 Mars Heights in Dubai. And this one was actually a tank, a cistern tank, so.
Again, just for the record, this second application for variance also, similar to the first one, does not affect adjacent properties, correct? Correct. Thank you. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I would move to ratify the on-site wastewater treatment system variance for 58 Irwin Drive in Florissant, and to ratify the on-site wastewater treatment system variance for 31 Lars Heights Divide as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. Thank you, Austin.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, sir.
Now return and four times. I didn't even get to leave and think about it. All right, next up we have. Yeah, I didn't get this. Reverse the implications of Senate Bill 24-131. We have any discussion? We have.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair. I spoke about this in my opening comments, but this legislative session, there were a number of bills that were intended to infringe upon the Second Amendment rights of our citizens. We went and fought vigorously against every single one of them. Obviously for most of them, we're just trying to get them defeated, but when you're in a super minority, you can't always do that. But what you can do, and we've had some success this legislative session and the last, is to cut the ugly off. And on this bill 24-131, there was a whole lot of ugly in it. And the ugly parts were parks, churches, restaurants, parking lots. What else did they have in there that was silly and ridiculous? But anyway, there was a lot of areas that they didn't want you to conceal carry, with the intent of making it so onerous and frankly dangerous, if you're concerned about being charged with a crime, about concealed carrying in Colorado. Ultimately, through amendments and the whole process, it really got down back in time. I talked specifically about what those were, is that it will affect public and private colleges. It will affect childcare centers. And outside of that, the only other part that would impact the residents of Teller County is that there was a restriction on concealed carry, and I believe the way they stated it was any building in which a local elected official resides. So for Teller County, for us, that means the building you're in right now, because there are offices for commissioners here. It would affect the courthouse because the officials there. It would affect Tamarack, because we do hold meetings and have offices at Tamarack. It affects sheriff's office where the coroner lives, etc. And some of those, such as the courthouse, for example, is under a judge's order. So that was already has been covered by the chief judge, and that's why there's security and metal detectors in that building. But that being said, this bill did include a way for local governments to pass an ordinance to essentially reverse that. And that's the action that I went to the county attorney to begin that process of. The new law does take effect July 1, and following the public process, we can't get this done by July 1, but we are going to accelerate to the best of our ability while still remaining transparent and following the public process. So we are going to be calling a special meeting for tomorrow in order to introduce that ordinance and set a public hearing. And I'll let the county attorney or the county administrator talk about exactly what that public process is and what we think that calendar might be. But we're doing this in order to maintain the status quo, which in Teller County is that you do have the right to carry a firearm, and there's no issues whatsoever with you carrying a firearm on their county property or any county offices outside of the courthouse, which is again under a judge's order.
If I could just add to what Eric said, so again, it's not a political statement, but there's really a lot of dissension with gun laws, as you guys know, and so the folks that wrote this bill, it's on the top of the bill, Woodrow, Garcia, et cetera. I stood next to these folks and the governor while we were introducing the land use bill, if you remember, about a year and a half ago. And the problem they were trying to solve, what actually happened was that was the day, the minutes from the time the governor spoke at over the high school in Denver, they had the shooting. And so I remember standing next to these folks and watching their visceral reaction, you know, and again, the visitors to the urban world, their whole attempt to stop the gun to go in school. And of course, we understand that criminals don't listen to anybody anyway, this is what their attempt is. And so we do know there's a lot of confusion out there. All three of us are getting lots of questions. Sheriff last night, he's getting questions. I think for right now, if you're a concealed carry permit, nothing's changed until this is enacted in 1 July. That's the primary message. You do what you're doing. We're gonna go ahead and try to do what we can do, and then there'll be a joint statement, probably press release at some point with the sheriff to say, okay, in Teller County, with this act that went into effect was what we just did. Here's what that means. We don't want any confusion to be out there, but for right now, until 1 July, nothing's changed. Just know, thanks to Eric's leadership, we're trying to move forward and do what the bill allows us to do, and have an exception. So just want to add that, Mr. Chair.
And just to put an exclamation point on Commissioner Stone's comment, and your comment of standing next to him, when those things happen, we get the reaction from some of the legislators. Can't we just make a law so this never happens again? Well, of course, that doesn't actually stop the action from happening, but they feel better because they made a law. Yeah. So do we have any dates or?
No,
things
so
to announce?
the general process will be, meeting tomorrow, which I believe has been posted already. And so that will be the, introduction of the ordinance, read it, and then authorize the publication of the ordinance as required by the statute. Then a follow-on second meeting, where it can be adopted, has to be published again, and then have an effective date. So I'll be working on that today and tomorrow with you, and tomorrow we'll have a better idea of the actual dates that we can put into the ordinance. And we've got to coordinate with folks at the Courier. And have one lead time before we can publish on their paper, so we'll coordinate with them to make sure that that follows.
And for the meeting tomorrow, I believe we said 10 a.m. and where is the location for your posting?
I think it's right here in this superintendent, and I believe Mr. Evans will make sure that that's online as well, and have a link for that for anybody who want to participate on Zoom.
Tomorrow would be just the first reading.
Yes.
Yeah, and through we don't do a lot of ordinances, but the public process is we do a first reading and then we set a public hearing, where then we take comment on that prior to it being published twice in the local newspaper, and then there's 30 days between final passage and when it can be enacted, which will put us sometime probably in the middle of July, we're estimating, if the process is smooth and there are no substantive changes to the ordinance as presented. So, accurate, sir?
Yeah, that's generally, the outline. I'm looking at Albert, the couple of these ordinances have been passed. Gonna look into whether or not, citing the safety clause in the ordinance will allow for a control package.
All right, we'll move on to our next item, which is consider resolution opposing the city of Aurora, Colorado, purchase of the Arkansas Basin water.
And I'll just, I could, Mr. Chair, just lead by, this is what I talked about during my board report. The title of this resolution is simply a resolution affirming Teller County's commitment to protect agricultural water rights in the Arkansas River Basin. Again, just top 3 points. We are already in a fight. We, the collective 47 rural counties, which we're probably going to win. We feel pretty good about it with a new person, the state water engineer, Jason Ullman, with the Attorney General on the 29th of this month, relooking at the letter that they issued that said, because we have a mature understanding of water, you no longer can have the water rights. So not a law, not a bill like this, but a bureaucrat and an administrative decision. So that guy's been replaced with a new person. We feel pretty good. We were directly involved, all three of us, in those negotiations. But the insanity of that kind of pressure on a simple spring in rural Colorado, then to have something like this thrown at us that basically says, oh, by the way, we can take all your other water. And again, I just want to reemphasize it. Nearly 65% of the food grown in Colorado is grown in the Arkansas Basin, also our ranchers. So this is a lifestyle, this is who we are, and it doesn't have to be ugly. But I think what you're going to see when we read this, and I won't go into the detail of that, you'll definitely want to copy this one with the jackpot. You'll see that we're enjoining with a whole bunch of other appropriate water folks from the Water Congress, the basin, All this will go as part of their application request, and it'll end up with DNR for some kind of a decision. So I don't know, Paul, did you want to add anything to that in terms of legal?
There are a number of, the districts in the basin are, considering and passing similar resolutions. I believe it's June 12 when the board you sit on, or the roundtable, the Arkansas Basin Roundtable is going to consider it at their meeting. So there seems to be a groundswell of support, if to reaffirm commitment to protecting the water rights in the basin.
Yeah, and so I do know that I've talked directly to our county water commissioner chair. They're producing the same. They'll probably sign this, that we get a copy as we get to. And then Los Alamos as well, which has a very proud ranching history. And then I'll get it to Dion when we talk to them, just to let them know that we're serious about it. There is a transparency. We're trying to work with Jason on pretty well, the water engineer, and he'll appreciate it. Not a heads up, but he'll appreciate that. This is always a battle for those guys. So, and again, the last thing is the commentary that all three of us went through was just a plethora of affordable and attainable housing regulations and laws that were passed this year, all for the Denver metro area. And they all sound good, but there's a big hand wave when it comes to infrastructure. The infrastructure we're talking about here is water. If there's no water available for attainable housing, I don't care how cheap it is, there's no water, particularly at the expense of another part of Colorado. So we're very serious about this, and I just appreciate the support. All three commissioners, I happen to sit on the board, but like all of our boards, we brief each other. We're all co-equal, and we're joining some really good folks. And the folks that sit on the Arkansas Water Basin also ride the Colorado River, also made cases for the other 7 in the intra arguments that we're having with California and Nevada. This is the future of the world. I will say that today in Colorado, we're 107%. Less 107%, but we remember what last year was like the year before. So these are simply good measures to make sure that we take care of our things. Appreciate it.
Mr. Herman has agreed to read the resolution.
Yeah, that's fine. Before we read it, just a couple other comments. A lot of people may wonder, well, why is this important to Teller County? And, they're talking about, applying water rights and piping water from further down, towards Los Alamos and some other places that are affected. And we had the same issue that came up in regards to Douglas County seeking water from the San Luis Valley. When you talk to the commissioners out there, you find out what the real problem is. The real problem with doing this is what you're doing is you're taking the economy out of the county. They call it drying up. They're trying to literally stop Front Range communities from drying up their counties. Well, what happens when you dry up the county? You take away that water right, or buy it. I mean, not take, but they're purchasing the water right and then moving the water to a municipality. Is that agricultural activity which used to and historically took place on those lands goes away. And frankly, agricultural activity is economic activity. I mean, when you think about it, it would be, for here in Teller County, it would be the equivalent of, taking away the mine and the economic activity of that, or simply the economic activity of our ranchers and those here that run the activity. And talk about the fuel water rights. We have, Ms. Burton here today, who runs a successful and prominent ranch here in our community. And if we don't stop it there, then they're going to come after it here. They already are in regards to the fuel water rights. But we're helping to preserve a way of life and an industry in other parts of Colorado. And as Commissioner Williams eloquently said, that they're doing it because they can, because it's 500,000 people saying, well, we just go buy the water. We have all these people, they got all this money, we're just gonna go buy the water. But there's impacts. There's impacts to that. And we talk so much from this day is when we talk to folks up in Denver and along the Front Range, and as Commissioner Williams talked about all the time, is the 5 million people that live on a 20-mile wide strip of land between Fort Collins and Pueblo are sucking up the water in the rest of the state. There are second and third order impacts of doing that. Everything we do up here, we talk about second and third order impacts. What'll happen if we do this? That's not the direct impact, but the secondary impact. Well, all they care about in this particular case is the direct impact. Where are we going to get the water in order to support all the massive growth on the Front Range? And ultimately, they're going to go take it from agricultural counties, and Arkansas is already overstressed. We're using more water than what's supposed to be used there, and this is our effort to have our voice heard to protect our agriculture here as well as agriculture there. And thank you, Mr. Williams, for bringing this.
Mr. Herkman, if you shall. Resolution number 0523/2024, number 18. Resolution affirming Teller County's commitment to protect agricultural water rights in the Arkansas River Basin. Whereas water is one of Colorado's most important issues, in Colorado Water for the 21st Century Act, CRS Section 3775-101 following, created 9 permanent basin roundtables to facilitate discussions within and between basins on water management issues and to encourage locally driven shared solutions to water supply challenges. And whereas Teller County is a member of 2 of the 9 water basin roundtables, South Platte Roundtable and the Arkansas Basin Roundtable. Whereas in March 2024, the city of Aurora, Colorado proposed to purchase 5,457 acres of land in Otero County, Colorado, together with water rights used to irrigate 4,806 acres, which purchase would allow Aurora to use this water for its municipal water system. And whereas Aurora's proposed purchase of these water rights has raised significant concerns for the members of the Arkansas Basin Round about water rights in the basin. And whereas the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District has taken the position that Aurora's proposed purchase of these water rights violates the terms of the intergovernmental agreement between the district and Aurora entered into in October 2003, the 2003 IGA. And whereas on April 9, 2024, the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District's Board of Directors adopted resolution number 2024-03D, urging Aurora to refrain from violations of the 2003 IGA in the interests of regional cooperation and relationships between water right owners and entities in the Arkansas River Basin. Whereas the terms of the 2003 IGA are intended to protect future agricultural water ownership and use in the Arkansas River Basin. Whereas the 2003 IGA averted substantial litigation from multiple water providers, including the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District, and allowed Aurora to use Frying Pan Arkansas project infrastructure to export Arkansas Basin water into the South Platte Basin. And whereas the 2003 IGA has helped foster the relationships between water right owners in the Arkansas River Basin and provided the foundation for subsequent agreements involving Aurora and other entities in the Arkansas River Basin, including the November 2003 intergovernmental agreement between Aurora and the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District, the May 2004 intergovernmental agreement between Aurora, the district, the cities of Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and Fountain, and the Board of Water Works of Pueblo, and the 2011 intergovernmental agreement between Aurora and the Lower Arkansas Valley Water Conservancy District. Whereas to date, members of the Arkansas Basin Roundtable and water districts in the basin support the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District and oppose Aurora's purchase of additional Arkansas River Basin water rights, including Fremont County, the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District, the Lower Arkansas Valley Water Conservancy District, and the Arkansas Basin Roundtable will formally consider this issue at its meeting on June 12, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Teller County Board of County Commissioners that 1, the Teller County Board of County Commissioners affirms its commitment to protect agricultural water rights in the Arkansas River Basin. 2, the Teller County Board of County Commissioners supports the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District in its efforts to assure Aurora's compliance with the 2003 IGA. The Teller County Board of County Commissioners affirms its understanding that a central purpose of the 2003 IGA is to prevent Aurora from purchasing any additional agricultural water rights and permanently transferring those water rights out of the Arkansas River Basin for municipal use. 4, the Teller County Board of County Commissioners believes that Aurora's purchase at this time of additional Arkansas River Basin water would violate the 2003 IGA and urges Aurora to refrain from and cease all such violations. 5, the Teller County Board of County Commissioners believes that The 2003 IGA is a foundational and beneficial document for the Arkansas River Basin, and that for the benefit of maintaining regional cooperation and relationships between water rights owners and entities in the Arkansas River Basin, Aurora and the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District must remain in compliance with the terms, conditions, and goals of the 2003 IGA. All right, at this time, I'll take any public comment on this resolution. Yes, sir. Welcome, Mr. Burton.
Thank you. My name is Bob Burton. I'm a rancher here. And we dealt with this out in Park County, and it cost us tens of thousands of dollars to go against the State Water Commission on just moving a GPS mark that their commissioner had mismarked, and yet they had directed us on building a stock tank. Came back to us later, 2 years ago, and said, rip it out. After we had spent about $30,000 to develop that. This is a real problem in ranching right now, and I appreciate us taking it so seriously. Because what ended up happening for us was we were not only showing, we're not running a ton of head out there, and we're only running them for 2 months out of the year, but for 10 months out of the year, our wildlife is using those stock ponds. And if we start just selling off our water just to fill toilet bowls in the city, then our wildlife is gonna suffer from this. So I really appreciate the commissioners taking this seriously, because this will change the whole flavor of Colorado if we continue to just try and develop out east. And so I just want to say thank you for doing this, and I appreciate this resolution. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. I appreciate it. All right, any further discussion from the board? All right, what would be your choice on this resolution?
Your resolution, go ahead.
Chair, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 05-23-2024, parent 18, that being a resolution affirming Teller County's commitment to protect agricultural water rights in the Arkansas River Basin.
Second.
All right, assuming no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Kim?
Yes. All right, I think that completes our agenda item for the regular hearing items. And then we have, I think, 2 items for our business items.
Thank you, sir. Before you today, there is a couple of business items. The first is consideration of an offer from Double Eagle Ranch and PBJ Cattle Company to purchase a 1985 Caterpillar 950B front end loader. And that's serial number 31R01204. We did receive a letter from Mr. Burton, from the representing the owner of PBJ Cattle Company. He's the ranch manager over at Double Eagle Ranch, Colorado, requesting to purchase a piece of our equipment. This Caterpillar has been sitting for several years over on a side pile at Public Works. Public Works made an assessment on this piece of equipment that it's not, we're going to use it for parts, or they want to bring it out to auction or sell it. It is a piece of equipment they want to get rid of. There was some look at what the value of this equipment would be. Public Works reviewed it. They feel that an offer and approve the sale at a dollar amount of $25,000 is what they're putting on it. However, Mr. Burton did come back, and he has mentioned the ability to go into an agreement with the county to provide public benefit with this. Possibly entering into a simple agreement to be able to utilize this equipment during emergencies. So his offer was $21,191. I did go online. I can find them for, anywhere. I mean, these are 40-year-old pieces of equipment sitting there, anywhere from 23 into the 30s. So you can find them listed at 23,000 before you even start when I start kicking the tire and haggling. So I feel that the offer from Mr. Burton of $21,191 is fair. It is gonna require, some work on it with wheels and tires, and I would recommend the sale would be, as is, but with, taking up the benefit of making available, if it was available during emergencies. You would be approving the ability for Teller County to authorize Hayden Erickson, he's our heavy fleet supervisor, to complete this transaction.
Questions or discussion?
Yeah, so I just a comment, Mr. Burton there. So I have two tractors now, that brand new, and then I have a Kubota that's older than this piece of equipment, and I agree with what you said. We have a citizen stepping forward, who has a history with PBHA of helping us during emergencies. It's a reminder to the press whenever we have fires and we have to move big animals, little animals. There's no cost. I don't think you ever charge the county. Bob, we brought horses over there, goats, chickens, you name it. He's provided feed for them. A week later, we have animals that go back to the owners, and no one ever said we bought the food. You know, so we know there's a coop there. When I was a kid, that was the Clark Ranch. It's been here for a very long time. We just talked about the ranching history. What he's offering really for members of the public is there are certain things that happen that you need a bucket load for. For example, the snowstorm we just had. So he's offering to say, look, would you do this in your own life? I'm gonna buy Eric's car. I don't need any kind of guarantee. It could blow up tomorrow, and I'll put all the new tires into it, all the maintenance, take some risk for this certain amount of money. Oh, by the way, in case of emergency, you can have your car back. That's really what he's saying. So you are taking a little bit of risk. I haven't seen this piece of equipment myself because we wanted to stay away from the decision, but I agree with you. I think 21,191 is fair, particularly with before you use it, you're gonna have to go through the fine tooth comb. Just going back to my 40-year-old Kubota, I do that every time before I jump on it, and you never know when it's going to stop working. So that would be my suggestion. Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, my understanding is when you kick these tires, you'll quickly find out that they need to be replaced. And part of, in looking at this, is understanding that just to get it back into serviceable shape, it's gonna take a significant investment, which is why it was sitting out back and not being used by us. And I do think that in consideration of its condition, that that it's a fair offer, and thank you for that. Also, on a side note, Mr. Burton, we hit the end of the meeting, it shouldn't be much more than about 5 or 10 minutes. I'd like to connect you with, I was able to get a hold of that rancher in Grant County, and I'd like to connect you with them on the wolf issue.
Thank you, sir.
All right, do we have a motion?
Sure, I make a motion that we approve, after having consideration, that we approve the offer on this from Double Eagle Ranch and PB&J Cattle Company for the purchase of a vehicle serial number 31301204, that being the loader 950B Caterpillar owner, that offer being the amount of 21,100.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, there is a second item, consider approval of memorandum of understanding, MOU, annual reaffirmation of the state of Colorado Department of Human Services for Colorado Works Program. We've seen the Works Program before. That's the program that supports family with dependent children on the path to self-sufficiency, to receive assistance for schooling, workforce development, skills training. Bobby, we're probably have a lot more on this. It's come back quite a few times, so.
This is an annual agreement that we agree to follow the policies of the state. That brings out our duties for the system. And we've never had any issues following them, and never had any issues, so. Shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the memorandum of understanding, the annual reaffirmation of the state of Colorado Department of Human Services for the Colorado Works Program as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
And so no additional administrative matters have been received after agenda deadlines.
All right, that I think concludes our agenda. If there's nothing else to be brought in front of the board, I have 11:51. We shall adjourn.